Hello, we're back to our third section.
Yeah, third session.
Yeah, and anyway, Tom Gibson, Chuck Augustin, and we were talking about the necessity for police, and Chuck and I both agree that at least I think you agree with me that some people, I used to think that police officers, and police forces were a necessary evil. Not that you should want them around, but you need them. And then, like the one lady that said, well, what about robberies and people speeding? Well, there's other ways around it, because even with cops, do you think cops only solve a small amount of the crimes that are committed, and the prosecutors only actually prosecute a small percentage of those. So of 100% of all the crimes that are committed, only a sliver of them ever go to justice, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge money-making thing. You got the police arresting people or citing them, and basically it's a tax. They're taxing people for misconduct. You have the courts that are making a lot of money. You got all these subsidiaries that make money off of what the courts do. Like you have to go to counseling for your DUI. You got to go to counseling for your domestic violence. You have to go to this school for this, and what they do is, all these professionals make a lot of money off what the courts order people to do. So it's a symbiotic thing, and there's a lot of money being made, but all that money is being made by extracting it from citizens.
Right, and the example Ray always brought up on his show, Louie and the Flagman, was Kennesaw, Georgia, where they almost required people to carry guns, and crime went away. And that's the thing, we assume that everything's going to stay the same as long as we have the police. In other words, there's going to be crime still. They may or may not arrest them. They may or may not prosecute them. They may or may not incarcerate them. But we have lost the vision of what if the responsibility was put on the people. Wouldn't we change? Wouldn't our actions change? Wouldn't everything change? And I believe it would tremendously.
Well, I mean, because if that were the case, suppose if somebody was committing violent crimes and you left it up to the people, nature would control,
yeah, exactly.
And that person would be eliminated from the program, and for not being able to comply, and the world is a better place.
And speaking of Louie and the Flagman, we've got Louie.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. I've just got a simple question, which I've asked before, but I can't really seem to get an answer to it, because I've asked people like the commissioners and Angela Bello. Now, my question is, how do you gentlemen feel about Gus Sullivan from Beatty being appointed a Pahrump Justice of the Peace when only a Pahrump resident can be elected to be a Pahrump Justice of the Peace? How is that possible that somebody can be a judge here when he's got to be a resident, but he got appointed anyway?
Well, because
how is that? How can you manipulate the rules and the laws to justify stuff like that? And I really can't see it as being correct. How do you guys feel about that?
Who wants to go first?
Well, they did it because they can get away with it, and it applies to way more than that, but it certainly, to me, applies to that. Louie, you ran in the election. You came in second to Kent. Kent was retired from the bench. To me, it should have been Louie DeCanio. And, it would have saved a lot of people, as Ray said, that are stuck in jail simply because they can't go in front of a judge because he's not available.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I brought this issue up to Angela Bello at the Coffee and Donuts to the DA, and she said that they manipulated the boundaries. They changed the boundaries of Pahrump so that, technically speaking, Gus Sullivan could be the Pahrump Justice of the Peace. But then I turned around and brought up a Nye County resolution which states that the boundaries of Pahrump are permanent and they cannot be moved. Yet Angela Bello said they moved the boundaries so that they could justify Sullivan being the justice of the peace. Now, can a guy run for justice of the peace in Beatty and Pahrump at the same time? Because that's basically what he's doing. He's the justice of the peace in both spots. But like I said, we have people like Angela Bello who just manipulate the laws, okay, and manipulate the rules. And I'm sick of this stuff. And I actually pointed out, I quoted the Nye County resolution that says the boundaries of Pahrump are permanent. And I even asked Angela Bello, do you know the definition of the word permanent? That means you can't move them. And she just like looked at me and stared at me like a deer caught in the headlights. But like I said, that's my question. But something tells me it don't matter what you tell to these people in authority. They're going to do what they want to do. They can manipulate the rules and the laws and do whatever they want. And I tell people all the time, we will never solve anything in the state of Nevada by dealing with people in the state of Nevada. We need outside agencies to come here to look into things and straighten them out, because whenever you deal locally or even like all the way up to Carson City, if you're dealing with Nevada people, they're going to cover up for other Nevada people in authority. But that's just my comment. But you guys have a good program, and take it easy tonight.
Okay, thanks, Larry.
Now, part of that judge issue, though, is because Mike Foley, he was Judge Brisbell's, he and Harry Gensler were both Judge Brisbell's pro tem judges. They both took the courses. They both qualified, sworn in, all that good stuff. And they could very well, either one of those could have taken that position. But the way it was explained to me is that Sullivan was doing a favor to the county because he's not getting paid for it. So, I mean, fiscally, you're looking at saving a lot. Now, I know the county doesn't really care about saving money, at least, but this time, you know, I mean, they can actually show they did save money. But so if for any other reason, the one positive is that Gus isn't getting paid a salary for, he's got his own money he's getting for being the justice of the peace up in Beatty. I think he does a good job. I've seen him, good job as you know, I've got no major complaints with what I've seen of him. I think it's, if a person isn't seen, though, that's the law. You're supposed to be seen within 72 hours from your arrest. I mean, if that's the problem and he can't make it down here, then Judge Jasperson or one of the district court judges are supposed to step in and hear the in custodies. And I'll, mind you, that's what they're supposed to do and what actually happens are two different things. But I like, again, I like Gus. I'm not going to badmouth him. I don't know what if it's just skullduggery or if it's just expediency and cost savings. But this was only done, mind you. He wasn't set there permanently. It was only for the 2 years between the elections. So we have to wait. In 2 years, then there's going to be I think it's 2 years, there's going to be a general election, and then because you can have a special election and put him on there, it's just not cost effective.
Yeah, my big objections to him are, one, he doesn't give ORs, which is release on own recognizance, which means if you're arrested, you get thrown in jail, you go in front of the judge, and hopefully there's a defense counsel that's asking for an OR. And the judge decides, can I release this guy till the next hearing?
Here's the problem with that, though.
Or does he have to pay bond, or does he have to go in jail?
It's real subtle, but every attorney is going to ask for an OR for their client.
Right.
Now, if it's a private attorney, and I'm saying Chuck's a good guy, OR him. Judge, I know he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Trust me. He's, and the judge will let him out. But with a public defender situation,
right?
And they've got this huge caseload, and a lot of these people, you don't even want to get near them because you're going to catch a disease. All right. I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, a lot of these people are serious criminals.
Right.
And every PD, oh, Judge, OR this guy.
But there again, the judge has the initial police report.
Which means nothing because they're contrived, they're inaccurate as a rule. As a matter of fact, I just went over this whole thing with one of the judges the other day. When you are sentenced, you get a pre-sentence investigation report, and in that report, it states out what the offense that you did. Now, I've gone to a trial where the guy had like 5 felonies and 1 gross misdemeanor. Not guilty on all the felonies, but he was guilty on the gross misdemeanor. Okay, still a victory. So, but when it's sentencing, the pre-sentence report has all this crap in there that the jury said no, not guilty. It did not happen, and the witnesses didn't match up with that. And so that tells me that the cops' reports are wrong. As a general rule, and also the parole and probation rely on those, and the judges rely on. Everyone's relying on these BS stories that I'm not saying every cop is lying, but I'm saying no cop is such a chronicler that they're going to get everything correct.
Right.
Okay, and it's gonna be couched in their own terms. And what we call what they do is they invoke the son of a bitch rule. If they don't like you, they arrest you, and they're gonna find a reason. They'll make up stuff, even on occasion, in order to get this thing through. So anyway, that's my point.
Okay, Amy, we only got about a minute. What you got?
Okay, just a comment on people seeing the judges. When I called in to find out why a person was given an OR, I was told that they can do this by the computer, that they don't even have to be in the building.
That's true.
So if this is the case, why would Sullivan have to leave Beatty to see people on the television if they need to be heard? That's it.
They could, and I've had situations where, and all attorneys, I mean, if you know the judge and you got a client that's been arrested, you can get the DA on the phone and you can do a call, and it doesn't to try to arrange some type of OR release for people too. It doesn't have to. It's in a perfect world, it's in an open court, but it doesn't have to be as long as both sides are represented.
Okay, we're going to have to go to break pretty quick. We'll see you for the final session in a few seconds.